So, hello and welcome. Welcome to those that are watching us live today. Particularly welcome to Inbal and Philipp that have joined me for this live session. Today, we're going to be talking about productionizing machine learning with teams and platforms. It's part of the Data Lift series run by the AI Guild, leading up to the Data Lift Summit in June in Berlin. Inbal, hello and welcome.
Hi, thank you.
I would like to start by asking you, so you're Senior Director of Machine Learning right now, but how did you get into data and machine learning?
Oh, that's a good question. It was a while ago. Actually, it was on my master's degree when I first hit the idea of getting a bulk of data. It was in the area of bioinformatics, and I started to look at rather big data of structural biology and some protein structures, and it was remarkable. I fell in love with it at the moment because I like what I'm good at is really recognizing patterns and look at masses of data and find commonalities. And this was my first, interaction with data and how to handle it.
Thank you. So you said, you excel at finding patterns. You're now a senior director of machine learning at Pendo, and I've learned that it's a company that has a few hundred employees already. So it's a startup, but it's big. Where do you see yourself in the field at the moment?
So really at Pendo, it was mind-blowing when I just entered 10 months ago, because they have all this data and they still didn't have a data science team or really a machine learning team to take it and take advantage of it and make something that really can benefit our customers and go live with it. And I think that at the moment, when I look at it, 10 months ago, I was a single person there doing machine learning, and now I have a team of around 10 people, and this is we have just recently announced the machine learning platform that we call Simon. And we have a few teams developing a few projects. This is there is much to do. And basically, when I look at the field in general, I think that many companies are now in the state that they have a lot of data, they are not sure what to do with it, and they are starting to scratch the surface of just utilizing all this data. Because even though there's a lot of hype today about machine learning and AI, not too many companies are really doing it and taking advantage of this data. That's an interesting thing I've learned over time talking to many companies.
Thank you for that, Inbal. We're going to get back to that in a minute, but let me introduce Philipp. Hello, Philipp. You work as a machine learning engineer for Zalando, but also the question to you actually initially, how did you get into data and machine learning?
Thank you, Chris, and hi from Berlin as well here. The start of the journey of data was at the start of the century. So around the early 2000s, I started working in the music industry, and there's of course the domain of records and releases and events and press contacts and DJs and campaigns and all that needed to be organized, distribution. And so for more than a decade, I was sort of helping other people who are not very much inclined to using computers to manage data and processes in that realm. And that eventually led me to trying to professionalize and also build a sort of a B plan for a career. And I studied computer science in Berlin and HTW, and following that, worked from some startups as a software engineer, and eventually started at Zalando in 2015. And started working with the domain of product data and suppliers and basically product onboarding and that was also the first sort of touch point with machine learning, where we've quickly realized that you can well onboard the amount of products. I think it's 4,000 daily that we're currently looking at, while manually checking images and classifications of the sleeve length being the correct value. Maybe is it spaghetti strap or is it short sleeve? This kind of thing would have to be done by a machine learning model. So through a lot of different sort of roles at Zalando and a lot of different departments, I had the ability to learn sort of the machine learning problem from different angles: the agile coaching angle, the process, the people, the time scope resources angle, the company, the entrepreneurial angle, mergers and acquisition, program management. How do you build a machine learning platform in such a big company with so many teams that want such different things, have different maturity levels? And finally, now that I've joined the machine learning productivity team since 2018, also from the angle of actual engineering. So what is easy to use, compliant and fast machine learning platform that all our teams can use to stop reinventing the wheel of building their own machine learning platform.
Thank you, Philipp. So I learned that at Zalando, so to speak, the engineering part of the company, the engineering ship alone is about 3,000 people. So that's sizable. You also just mentioned that you're part of the productivity team, actually. So if I understood right, this means that you're part of a team that makes sure that the other teams that are also working on machine learning actually have efficient ways of doing so, are using kind of like an agreed upon tool set, a certain type of platform, and that the outcomes kind of work for the company. Are you able to kind of say, so how many teams do you provide for? If there's 3,000 doing engineering, how many people are doing machine learning?
That number is, of course, very much lower than the amount of software engineers that we have in the company. As my colleague here already mentioned, ML is still in its infancy, and with regards to deployment in big companies, we've had very mature machine learning use cases in search and in recommendation for a number of years already. But I think when we started with the research for machine learning platform, we were looking at 40 teams that we interviewed. And so one delivery team at Zalando is typically, two pizza size, kind of 10 people, 9 people, plus management. So that's the size. I think it has grown in the last 3 years. I think we probably have about double that amount now. Don't quote me on that. We definitely have hundreds of users on that machine learning platform now.
Okay.
Daily.
Hundreds of users. Okay,
yeah,
great. Inbal, you mentioned that you went from 0 to 10, and you're also building your platform. So you're now somewhere between 2 and 3 pizzas, to take Philipp's idea. You're doing this right now, and I guess this is really interesting for our audience, because a lot of companies are at this situation where they need to go from a small team to a mid-size or even a bigger team. What are the highlights for you of getting this right?
Yes, so I think that building a machine learning team, when I came to Pendo, we talked about how many people I'm going to hire this year. And but we didn't talk about who, or what are the roles of those people are going to be. And the first thing to understand, in my opinion, is that it's not only researchers and not only data scientists, because we need this. This is under engineering, and in order to take those ideas and make them happen, you need engineers to work with the data scientists together and put it into production and insert it into the product eventually. So it was important to me to stress out that we need a combination of machine learning engineers and data scientists, and that's a first, a first thing that every person in a company that wants to start a machine learning team should take into account. The second thing that I think is very important is to when I hire, I make sure that the mindset, especially of the researchers, is focused in impact and not in the science. Well, and I'm a scientist, and I really love the science, and I'm always up to date with the state-of-the-art models, and I like very much the literature review and to make sure that everything is up to date. But it's important to start small, start simple with something that delivers value. And I always favor impact over science. So I try to put into production the first baseline of a model. And it could be something very simple like XGBoost or linear regression, and make sure that it works and delivers value, and that customers like it. But they say, okay, it has pros and cons, and it has some faulty predictions. That's fine. And then from there you can go and improve. But the baseline is so important, because I see many times machine learning teams stuck for years on a project that they're trying to make it perfect before it even hits production, and it could be that it's not relevant anymore. Like you have to get to the hands of the customers first.
Philipp, I see you're still nodding. I see you're still nodding, so this somehow speaks to you. Please comment.
No, absolutely. I mean, so machine learning or machine learning engineering is sort of the kitchen sink of engineering complexity, right? You have everything in there, from the agile bit, so customer collaboration, responding to change, that whole what the agile manifesto was in the beginning of the 2000s. And that's super important. That's the bit where you need to produce working software that you can put in front of a customer and get feedback from continuously, and do so in a safe way, so you can actually evolve what you've built, and you can sort of bit by bit improve that system with that feedback. It's the whole software engineering complexity as well, right? So testing systems, cloud computing, microservices, the whole thing that is still an unsolved problem, right? You still regularly see even big companies failing at keeping their sites up. So that's a whole different dimension there. The observability, the ability to continuously run stuff under different loads, and to react to change to global events there. And now you're putting everything on top, which comes from the scientific community, the math, the scientific method, the whole idea that actually, data processing is a whole other domain as well. Big data processing isn't a small bit of computer science either. So if you put all this stuff together, of course, you're going to get like a very expensive, very slow moving beast. And I couldn't agree more with Inbal that like the only way forward here is this ruthless prioritization of bits that would make it as quick as possible to create iterations that you can put in front of customers, and therefore iteratively build something that actually has value in the here and now for the company.
Thank you, Philipp. Actually, let me take that to kind of move us on for today. We're here because there's the Data Lift Summit happening in June in Berlin, and you're going to be actually speaking at that summit. The title is Automated Product Attribute Correction with Human-in-the-Loop Computer Vision. So this is actually also about getting something into production and making it work for the user. I think that's the bridge. And then I wanted to specifically actually invite you to explain the title, right? So there are some things in there that many of us will probably recognize. So human in the loop, yes, that is a known term. Computer vision, okay. Then product attribute correction, okay, you're an e-commerce startup. I have an idea what you mean by this, but actually tell us, it's complex. So please tell us.
Sure. So, I mean, honestly, when we were brainstorming a title for the talk, we just thought, okay, let's use the keywords that people would be interested in from different angles and put them together as they fit the project that we're working on. But I can explain all of them. It's not just smokescreen. So the automated bit is important because anything you don't automate basically isn't scalable, right? We don't have the ability to like manually run systems and make them bigger and bigger, and Zalando has to grow more than 20% year over year. So everything needs to be automated. Then attribute correction refers to the problem in product onboarding, that we would get, some 4,000 products daily coming in with not perfect product metadata assigned to it. So computer vision models would have to assess what the correct classification of these products are so they can be browsed on the website as intended in a visual way. And the human in the loop part comes from the fact that these data sources are drifting, right? We will never be able to just train our models on one data set today and then run this computer vision model for the next couple of years successfully. It will rot quite quickly. So we need the ability to identify edge cases, different products from different suppliers with maybe different images will create different needs for the model to be able to detect these new patterns. And so we need humans in that loop to continuously label these edge cases. And now we need a loop where these edge cases are now retraining models, and that these models are continuously now redeployed so they can be used for inference. So there's your loop. And yeah, all that is a system that needs to almost run without interference, so without manual interference. And it needs to be built like this, because otherwise it is actually not fulfilling the purpose. It has to be this loop, it has to be automated. And yeah, our customers need almost perfect metadata for products so they can enjoy browsing.
Okay, thank you for that. Just for the audience to clarify, so you at the beginning said this automated is important, and I guess we all get it. It's about scalability. And then you said you need the human in the loop because there's drift in the data that is coming in. So can you say where the human in the loop is important and what the human in the loop actually does there? Do they just check that the metadata is correctly attributed, or do they do something else?
So it's important for a few reasons. So at a certain stage in the development cycle, you first need to learn to trust your models, right? You might have a computer vision model that performs well against its test data set, but that doesn't tell you much about the production data. So now you need to know this confidence value that your model is giving you for this classification, does it actually mean I can send this straight to the website, or does it mean I should have a look at it, or the human should have a look at it? So in this phase, the human annotation is there to actually confirm or reject the confidence that the model has for a given example. And what we're doing here is we're just showing the model, hey, this is the inference result. Our models think that this is a spaghetti strapped picture or product, and the human just clicks yes, it is, or nope, it isn't. Okay. And then we retrain our models on that. And yeah, later on, as maybe new kinds of garments are coming in, or garments are changing, or actually the notion of what is considered spaghetti stripes and stripes in fashion changes, then of course we need these humans to update our model's understanding of what an image actually displays.
I think it's a very interesting point, because a lot of people, they don't understand the need of retraining a model. And what I'm always saying to those those people that don't understand that you need some feedback from humans and then retraining is that, first of all, we all know that machine learning cannot be perfect, like 100% accurate, whatever accuracy measure we're taking. And the thing is that if we're the power of machine learning, as opposed to traditional algorithms, is its ability to learn from its mistakes and retrain. And without this phase of getting some feedback from the outside, feeding it into the machine and retraining it and produce a new model, a better model all the time, then it's not machine learning, it's just a machine, right?
Right. Yes, indeed. So that perhaps allows me to follow up actually with you, Inbal, in this case, because you will also be speaking in June on June 23. Make it worth how to successfully deliver your ML to production. And actually, you just said once it is into production, be aware you may need to retrain your models and do a few other things to keep it into production, to keep it useful for the customer. But how to successfully deliver ML to production? What key points do you see?
Yeah, so the first key point, as I see it, is really the team, and we talked about it, the mindset of the machine learning team that is impact focused, and then the next point is about the company itself, and make sure that the company is ready to embrace machine learning. And when I started, so they asked me, okay, so like it's what time frames are we talking about? Is it like a quarter to deliver like the first machine learning algorithm? And I said, okay, well, we need to work a lot together. Like we can, machine learning projects are relatively long. And the reason for that is that you have to do it gradually. You cannot, take a model, train it, test it on your local data set, and just release it to the world. You have to, because it will be rolled back like in a minute. It never works. So what you have to do is really start and work closely with design partners, with customers that you trust and that you can share feedback with, and do it offline, and then design your feature and put it out there for only a small fraction of the customers, and increase gradually until you are ready, until you understand what are the limitations of your technology. Maybe there are some customers that would not be a good fit to receive your model, and then you can learn together with the customers. And it's important to have an understanding from the stakeholders and from the customers that first of all, it's nothing that they are used to. Like it's not something that they can predict exactly how it's going to behave in production, and learn a lot from feedback, and be very attentive to feedback in the first stages of rollout. And yes, so and be very close. Have a product manager that really helps you communicate everything to the customers and to the stakeholders, and really design a feature that is machine learning based. The machine learning behind it can be like very, very good, but for example, the UI can be like something that is not useful or not inviting. So eventually, when you measure, like at Pendo, this is what our company does. So we have also Pendo over Pendo to measure the engagement of the users with the features that the software features that we deliver. And if people don't click on it, it doesn't mean that the machine learning is not good. It could be that also the UI and everything, it has to be like a project that is delivered with a lot of thought from the grounds up. And
Okay.
next time.
Yes, thank you, Inbal. So I saw Philipp nodding again, and I was looking at the title of today, and thinking, okay, so it says they're productionizing machine learning with teams and platforms, and teams, of course, is people. But actually, you now said you started with the team and the mindset, but you expanded and said actually there are two other key groups of people that one really needs to consider. It's the customers and the stakeholders. Mm-hmm. Customers, of course, are the people interacting with the company or buying the products or services, and stakeholders is inside the company. You mentioned UI, so the user interface, so how it's actually shown to the customer. Philipp, I'm guessing you work for Zalando, and this is probably also really part of your bread and butter. So do you have a further comment on this?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the first things that we learned in the machine learning productivity certainly was that just making machine learning more successful doesn't yield systems in production that are creating value for the company. It's an end-to-end problem, as Inbal already said. So it starts with the customer research and the stakeholder alignment, and having management support, having priority for that project or for that initiative, and continuously having the resources on there. And then once you have that basis, having access to feedback from the people who are actually using the system downstream, and that could be quite convoluted in a larger company, right? You could be going and you could be making one or two downstream teams happy, and the third team down there that you've never talked to actually rejects your solution because their prediction window that they need is a year longer than what you've given them. And this year-long prediction window that they've used has always been bogus, has never yielded any real, that prediction was always very low quality, but they need it anyway. So they're going to stick with the old prediction rather than deploying your better system. So that was a big learning for us to understand, yes, we really, it's not enough just to be machine learning consultants here. Like, we need to talk to the customers of a software system, just like we would as an agile software engineer.
Thank you, Philipp. So I would like to go back to one of the questions that came in, so to speak, live. Here's a question by Joachim that, in our final loop, I wanted to give to you, both of you. So, what design considerations are important to support machine learning in production? The example here was with human in the loop. And then the question is: are new affordances required for continuous retraining?
So I have a few hot takes here, but Inbal, you go first.
No, I think that I cannot generalize. Like in every system, it looks a bit different. But for example, if you give a certain prediction and you want the users to give their feedback to it, so you can let's say you're doing some clustering or maybe in a supervised manner classification, and then there are a few groups, and for each group you have a label, and you want to know whether you were right, like the model was right. So you can have something that says thumbs up, thumbs down, and give you this feedback for the retrain, and that could be a bit annoying to the user, for example. But on the other hand, you can show the user the groups and allow the user to drag something from one group to a different group, and that would be like more valuable to the user and to us for the machine learning. So there are a lot of design considerations that have to work out in order to to work for the satisfaction of the customer and for our own benefit of the machine learning.
Yeah, and I think, like, from adding on to this, sort of customer feedback, or designing your data sourcing and improving the data sources continuously. One thing that is often forgotten in design considerations is the ability to actually evolve your system safely and over time, and also in the face of changing teams and changing people working on the project. So one of the most important machine learning systems in Zalando, the component that predicts prices, has a very, is very good at doing so, but for a number of years has had to invest heavily into rebuilding a lot of what they've done, because it was not done in a way that was reproducible or understandable. So that we learned from a central perspective that machine learning model is either an immutable pipeline that is completely documented, or it's a liability for the company, right? If you cannot reproduce what you've done, you cannot explain why things are working the way they work. You cannot go back to the data and the processes that led to the data. You essentially cannot really reason about your systems, and you cannot safely evolve them So I think that's essential as a design component to have immutable pipelines.
Thank you for that, Philipp. Actually, while you were speaking, there was a comment coming in about reliable data infrastructures that indirectly you already answered that by what you just said. Inbal, a final comment from you.
I just wanted to say that everyone that is interested in really how to build machine learning teams from scratch or anything that I've said today, you're welcome to turn to me. And I'm really looking forward for the summer to meet everyone live. And yeah, see you there.
Thank you, Philipp. Thank you, Inbal. Indeed. So people have been joining us through various channels, but if you like, you can find Inbal or Philipp through LinkedIn, I guess, and send them a message if you like. Otherwise, of course, you can actually meet them live and in person and talk to them before, during, and after their presentation they'll be giving at the Data Lit Summit in June in Berlin. Tickets are available through the website if you want to join. And then what is left for me for today, Philipp, Inbal, is to thank you very much for being with us, for sharing with us, and anybody who you would like to show what we've done today. The best way to do this is to find the AI Guild on YouTube and then to find this video and to share it with friends and colleagues if you like. And with that, we move to the outro.